Sound rolling.
Camera 1.
Rolling.
Camera 2. Rolling.
My name is Victoria Ruétalo, and I also go by Vicky. Everybody knows me as Vicky. And my title, I am a professor of Spanish and Latin American Studies at the University of Alberta in Canada. And I work on, I'm interested in sexploitation cinema. I do also work on just generally Latin American cinema. I have recently published a book called Violated Frames about the work of Armando Bo and Isabel Sarli and the archival work that went along with that and just their struggle with censorship. And currently I'm working on a project called Hot Flicks in the Cold War. It is about the distribution of Latin American film, or especially Latin American sexploitation in the US and Canada, and just the distribution networks that were happening in the 1960s and 70s during the Cold War. So I came to Tulane, it feels like a lifetime ago, in 1995, and I was doing my PhD. I had already done a master's at McGill, and I was interested in schools in the States. And one thing, I applied to a lot of schools, I got into a lot of programs, but Dan Balderston called me, and he had a Canadian scholar as well here who called me to encourage me to come to Tulane. And I felt from that moment that it was very personal, and they really wanted me to come here. And so I feel like in my career, that's the way I've followed my career path, to just having connections and making connections, and Dan's call was instrumental in me coming here. You know, when I left here, I didn't really understand the kind of impact that the Stone Center had on my career. And so, as I said, I got a job at the University of Alberta, and I've been there ever since. But one of the things that I realized right from the beginning is that the graduate program at my current university was not the same as here. And then when I started thinking about it and thinking about what those differences were, it had to do with the community that I felt at Tulane, and that was because of the Stone Center. So we would always, there was always people around. We would always go see different talks. I remember that every time LASA happened, and in those days LASA happened every 2 years, people from Latin America, from the Caribbean would come here and would give talks, and we would have an opportunity to meet with everybody. We would have an opportunity to do workshops. They would come and speak in our classes. And so I honestly felt a sense of community that once I left here, I realized that was the strongest part of my graduate experience at Tulane. And the Stone Center was at that center of that community, because it was through the Stone Center that all these events were organized. But also I spent a year in Uruguay and Argentina doing archival work for my dissertation, and I was able to do that with a grant from the Stone Center, the Mellon Foundation grant. There are so many memories. Because it seems like a lifetime ago, I can't really remember a lot of the specifics, but I do remember the Latin American cinema class that Ana López taught, and I was mesmerized by her lectures and her ability. It was incredible. She would put on films either in Spanish or Portuguese, and do simultaneous translations of those films, because of course they did not have subtitles. And it was a skill that I thought I was always so envious that she was able to do it, and I didn't realize how difficult it was when I had to do that myself as a professor. But that's one of the fondest memories that I have at my time at Tulane, was her Latin American cinema class. I would say that the one word that describes the legacy of the Stone Center would be community or belonging. Either of those words are what I think of when I think of the Stone Center.